Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It's caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Fumblerooski podcast, powered by Power 88 Dean Radio. I am your wonderful host for this evening, Justin Tucker, along with my good friend, and I use those in brackets, Sean Howe, our resident Dolphins fan. Sean, how you doing tonight?
Say you use it in brackets? You mean quotes?
Yeah,
brackets. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine for right now, but I don't think I'll be doing good after this episode. Oh man, I don't know why, but something tells me we might be talking about something that might be a little touchy subject.
Touchy subject?
You want to get right into it?
I'll let you kick it off. Let's hear it. Let's hear everything you got to say about it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Dolphins, unfortunately, pulled off the comeback. They were down 35-21 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Then all of a sudden, they become that player that all of a sudden takes the game seriously and score 21 points in the fourth quarter and win the game 42-38. Tua Tagovailoa looked sensational. Jalen Waddle waddled his way into the end zone numerous times, along with the Cheetah, obliterating the Ravens secondary.
They were down more than it wasn't 21. It was like 14. Like it was like 20. It was like 21 points, I think, that they were down.
I said 21 points. I said 21.
I thought you said they had 21. I was like, I don't think so.
No, they scored 21 points.
They scored more than that.
No, they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter.
They scored 28 points.
28. Yeah.
They scored 21 just to tie it. And then they had to put that last one on top to, win it.
No. Why not? No, but I feel like they scored 20. I'm not getting back and forth on this. The fact of the matter is, congratulations to the Dolphins. Tua played phenomenal along with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Lamar Jackson was sensational, putting the boots to the Dolphins' ass, but unfortunately, we couldn't pull through in the end. We couldn't pull through in the end because of a blatant pass interference call, but I'm not going to hold it against us. We didn't deserve to win because of the way we played. We didn't deserve to win. Congratulations to the Dolphins. Sean, take it away.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. When I was watching this one, it started off, and I was excited. I was like, let's see. This is the real test. What do the Dolphins have this year? Then we got to halftime, and I looked at the scoreboard, and I went, oh, no. We're back to our usual classic Dolphin self. When a big team comes around, we just crap our pants and don't want to play football. And then I'm sitting there in the third quarter, and the score's still slowly just creeping, and I'm just I'm sure you were the same way, but I reached a point where I was like, this game's over. Like when I saw the fourth quarter started, we were down 21 points. It's over. It was what? I try and do math. 35-14 going into the fourth. And then all of a sudden, touchdown comes. All right, it's cool. Let's celebrate. Then another one comes. All right. Well, now it's a one-score game. Then we get the ball back. Then you were like, wow, we might have a game on our hands. Then they scored. Baltimore gets the ball back, kicks a little field goal, takes the lead. And then you give the ball to Tua with 2 minutes left, a little less. Takes it right down the field. Scores that game-winning touchdown. And it was I was more shocked by what happened Sunday than I was when the Atlanta Falcons blew that Super Bowl to the Patriots. I still can't comprehend it now. Like that, it's just that mind-boggling to me. But You're muted.
I know what happened. The Raven had to start a bunch of rookies while Marlon Humphrey was dealing with injury problems. And that's what happened. They got burned way too many times in that secondary. I'm not happy with the miscommunications in the secondary, especially with those 2 Tyreek Hill touchdowns. If I see Tyreek Hill running at me as fast as he can, I'm asking for safety help no matter the circumstances. This is just unbelievable that we can allow Tyreek Hill to burn us twice like it's a cookout. And oh my God, Jalen Waddle scored that touchdown. I was like, damn, why can't we just win these games? And you were probably thinking, oh, the game is over in the fourth quarter when you thought the Dolphins have no shot. If you're a Ravens fan, no, we don't get those luxuries. Because unfortunately, every game is too damn close, just like this one. We never want to win comfortably. Even when we do win comfortably, we're never satisfied because we're always thinking, we could lose this game still because of the amount of trauma we've had to go through. This isn't the end of the world for us. I believe we'll bounce back from it because I believe our offense is starting to click a little bit. Hopefully we can get J.K. Dobbins back and Ronnie Stanley back in the tackle spot, even though we held up good against Miami on Sunday. My defense, I need a pass rusher. I think we only sacked Tua once. That's unacceptable.
Even for Miami, there's a lot of bad to take away from this, right? Like, it's good that they came back, but when you go play a team like Buffalo, who that we're gonna see next week, you can't just show up in the fourth quarter and decide to play then. To it, like everyone's praising us for that last quarter, and I am too. Like, we got the win, we pulled it out, we did what we had to do. But everyone knows deep down we can't play every game like we played the first 3 quarters. We got to play all 4 quarters like we played the last quarter if we really want to have a chance against these like top teams. So if it's a victory and it feels good. It still goes in the win column, but at the same time, you still have to look at the first 3 quarters of the game. A football game isn't just the last quarter; it's all 4 quarters. And we look at the first 3 quarters. Miami was in a rough spot. I mean, to give up 35 points, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. So whether Baltimore just fell apart or whatever happened, you still got to look. As much as we want to praise that fourth quarter comeback, we still got to look at why were we, in this hole to begin with? Why were we down 21 points going into the fourth quarter? Why was the offense not moving the ball then? So I think Tua showed us in the fourth quarter, and the offense in general showed us in the fourth quarter what they're capable of. But we can't just show up that late into a game. We got to be there all 4 quarters, offense, defense, special teams. So I think, yes, again, it's great to say, wow, look at this comeback. But why, at the same time, hindsight, why are we in this hole to begin with? So it's not all good.
It's not all bad either because when you look at the game actually started off 7-7. So it's not like they were like staggering. It was just offensively once Jalen Waddle scored that first touchdown, Tua had just, I believe, 2 like terrible picks, and one of them was just a miraculous bounce back to the safety, who was the best player on defense yesterday. Congratulations to Marcus Williams. Our free agent signing was key on Sunday, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get the job done. He did his part. The 9 to 10 others, not so much. And as unfortunate as it is, you don't give up 28 points in the fourth quarter. It just can't happen. It's disgusting. It's un-Baltimore-like. It's disgusting. Hopefully, we can backtrack this and go see what we did wrong, learn from it, get ready for the Patriots, put our foot in their ass, and go on to the next game. Because right now, I need to blow somebody out because that Dolphins game was unbelievable. But hey, my hat's off to Tua. My hat's off to their head coach. They kept fighting. They kept clawing. They believed they could win this, and they did. And as soon as the game was over, guess who texted me? This guy right here. The next day, I get is it Tua time text. Not even from Sean. A Patriots fan said that to me. Is it Tua time? Just wait until Sunday, bro. I got something for you. But congratulations to the Dolphins. They deserve to be 2-0. They earned that win. And best of luck on their endeavors.
Listen, in Tua's defense, a lot of people were always skeptical. There was a lot of hate. I mean, Tua's not, I don't want to say not the most liked quarterback, but a lot of people don't think, he has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. His throws don't come out fast. He doesn't have a good arm. He's this, he's that. He's had injuries. The whole list goes on and on. But when we look at this, it's like you see what he can do when you give him the weapons. Is he really that bad? I mean, 6 touchdowns. I think it was 460 plus yards. I think Tua kind of made a point on Sunday in the fourth quarter, hey, I'm here to play. Something clicked in that offense, and it allowed Tua to show to every fan base who's ever made fun of him, and it's been all over social media. Everyone making jokes the whole, let's apologize to Tua.
Yeah.
It really is it showed something. It showed that Tua is not, he's not what everyone's, he's this accurate, this, that. He's actually a good quarterback. Is he the best? No. But it showed a lot about his development in the NFL. So again, I think there was a lot of good for us. However, we got to go to Buffalo next week.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's an easy. We can't play one quarter against Buffalo. We got to play all 4.
Yeah, that's a tough team right there. They look like destroyers. Not just one team got it, another team got it, and it feels like it's just going to be a snowball effect if you're not careful with them. Because both sides are good. Their offense and their defense is good. But to talk about Tua a little bit more, when I think of Tua after that game, I didn't think of the disrespect, the apologies need to be as loud as the disrespect was. I thought about that photo of him sitting down in Dolphin Stadium just by himself while it's raining and all that. That just shows to me the journey that this guy has been on, from sitting on the bench his freshman year to throwing for over 400 yards in an NFL game and coming back to win that game. It takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to go through what he's been going through, and I respect him for that. Is there anything else you would like to touch on before we move on?
I mean, I think we hit everything on the head. That Miami's got we got a good game. We get ahead of them next week, and we got to play all 4 quarters.
Unfortunately, you guys won't win that game next week, but one can hope.
You said that about this Sunday too. I
was right for 3 quarters. And then
you gotta be right for all 4, buddy. Welcome to football. Can't play for 45 minutes. You gotta play for 60.
Unfortunately, yes. I wish Marlon Humphrey played all 60 minutes, but he only played for 45. That's all.
Don't blame it on one player. You were saying you said one player can't win the game. That means one player can't cause you to lose the game either. That's just not how that works.
You know what? It's your day. I'm gonna let you celebrate.
If it was your quarterback, maybe like if you came out and were Lamar Jackson came out, all right, that's different. But one guy doesn't win a game, one guy doesn't lose a game. Like you said, there's 11 of you out there.
I'm not gonna disagree. I'm gonna let you have your day. You deserve it. Your team won. You have bragging rights. I just hope we play y'all next year and we beat y'all next year.
We beat you last year. We beat you this year. How many times have we got to beat you for you to catch on?
I remember in 2019, you wasn't having the same energy. I remember that.
2019. Wow, you got to go back 3 years.
You had to go back to last year and think about it. So
I'm pretty sure we own you for the last 2 years.
Oh, stop. Own.
Just saying. Yeah,
whatever.
Big W. That's all that matters. 2 of them.
This is Justin Tucker along with Sean Howe. This has been the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! backfield to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
And welcome back to the Fumblerooski podcast, powered by Power 88 Dean Radio. I am your wonderful host, Justin Tucker, along with my good friend, Sean Howe. Right now, we're going to swing it over to the NFC West and talk about them San Francisco 49ers. First things first, congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers. They won against the Seattle Seahawks 27-7. But unfortunately, they have a little bit of injury problems, and it's not going to be solved this year. See, Trey Lance unfortunately suffered a season injury, ankle injury, that's going to require surgery at the end. That's going to require surgery that's going to end the season. So unfortunately, that's the end of the year for Trey Lance. Jimmy G is now going to have to take over. He was able to fill in just fine and get the job done, which congrats to Jimmy G, but unfortunate for Trey Lance. I hope he has a speedy recovery. But Sean, how do you feel about this situation as a whole?
I mean, here's the thing. Losing Trey Lance, it's a big loss, especially in week one with 49ers fans. And we're banking on him, hoping they were the spark they needed. Jimmy G's a great quarterback, but Trey Lance was, that next step, they needed to make it to the playoffs. That next step they needed to get to the Super Bowl. Now you've lost that before you even really gotten this, you've gotten the wheels going. It was week 2, lose your starting quarterback. That's tough. However, they're really still not in that bad of a situation. Jimmy G played under Tom Brady for lots of years. Then he made the move when he decided he wanted to be the starting quarterback, and he showed that he's got the talent to do it. So the thing is like, yes, it hurts. It's a loss that they have to take. However, there are teams in a lot worse of a situation if their starting quarterback was to go down. And even then, I'd argue that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than some active quarterbacks, like active starting quarterbacks. So it's not like they got this backup who's at the bottom of the barrel, absolutely terrible. Like, he's still better than some active starting quarterbacks for some teams.
Yeah, I agree. It could be a lot worse than what it actually is. Trey Lance, as unfortunate as it is, they do have a quarterback that's been under their system. He knows how the system works. Hell, he took them to 2 NFC championship games and even brought them to a throw away from winning the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo is like that. And unfortunately, not people like his ability to just win from the pocket. They want a little bit more athleticism coming from their quarterback spot. And Jimmy G just isn't that guy, and that's why they took a chance on Trey Lance, because if he could throw the ball as well as Jimmy, but run better than Jimmy ever could, then yeah, that rushing attack they have in San Francisco becomes all the more deadly once you throw in that with Debo, and I wanted to say Elijah Mitchell, but he's injured. But with that running core and that left tackle they have, the silverback Trent Williams, yeah, that whole system over there is amazing. I feel bad for Trey Lance. It's unfortunate. But if you're a San Francisco 49ers fan, you can at least feel competent in the starter that is Jimmy G. Is he Trey Lance? He might be better than Trey Lance at this moment in time. I just want to wait and see what Jimmy G has to offer this season. I think last year he was a good quarterback for them. I don't believe he was as bad as people would like to think, considering he almost beat the Rams again. And so I don't think their season's over. I don't think this kills their season.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it doesn't kill their season. I still think they can win the NFC West with the rate the Rams are looking. They almost lost to Atlanta. And the Cardinals almost lost to the Raiders. And yeah, this is a very open NFC West. And if the 49ers can keep their quarterback healthy, they can very much win this division.
I mean, the thing is, we know Jimmy G can do it too. He's done it.
Yes.
Twice. He can do it. And so again, you're not in the situation of where you have to sit here and go, oh no, like in Miami, I have to go, oh no, Teddy Bridgewater's my backup. That's not good. But having Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback, like, that's still a name you say and you go, he could be a starter. Like, there's nothing, he's got experience. I mean, he just, it's not like he's that classic backup who hasn't played at all, has no experience, and now they're trying to throw him into the system and get him in. Like, you're bringing a guy in who's got experience. You're bringing a guy in who's played in those situations, who's been there. again, a guy who's probably better than at least 10 guys that are active right now in the league. Like, you're fine. Yes, it's not Trey Lance, but we don't know what Trey Lance was going to bring to the table. For all we know, Trey Lance could have been a bust. We didn't get far enough to really see his true potential. I mean, it was week 2. So for all we know, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to take them to the Super Bowl. He can. Nothing says he can't. He's got the skill to do it. So if I'm a fan of the 49ers, I'm not worried.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not worried, but at the same time, in the present, I'm not worried. In the future, long term, yeah, I might be a little bit worried about this injury. And one thing I thought about right before we got started, and it's one thing I wanted to talk to you about. Jimmy G's contract is work. The 49ers now got saved if he didn't restructure that deal. Oh my God. Jeez. He would have had money out the wazoo if he didn't restructure that deal. Because they would have had to turn back to him eventually, and nobody was willing to trade for Jimmy G because of that contract. So the 49ers gracefully dodged a bullet with Jimmy Garoppolo's contract situation. And so now that they have Jimmy G still on the roster and can hopefully lead this team to at least the playoffs, let alone actually making it all the way back to the Super Bowl, watch out. The 49ers are still a dangerous team. Unfortunately, I can no longer call Trey Lance Lap Dance Lance. It's now porn star Jimmy right now.
I think Jimmy's got it. I mean, I'm not a 49ers fan, but if Jimmy G was my quarterback, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, he's a competent player who has good passing skills and minimum running skills. But other than that, he's a good, competent quarterback.
I think they're going to be fine. To be completely honest.
All right. Coming up next, we have contenders or pretenders. One team's on there, which is the Miami Dolphins that are 2-0. You want to figure out which one I think they are? Stay tuned. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. And welcome back to the Fumblerooski podcast. I am your host, Justin Tucker, along with my good friend, Sean Howe. Coming up, we're talking about contenders or pretenders. 2-0 teams. Let's get started. We got the Eagles, we got the Dolphins, we got the Giants, we got the Bills, and we got the Chiefs. We got 5 teams that somehow managed to make it 2-0 by hook or by crook, still managed to be undefeated, and still managed to be 2-0 in leading their divisions heading into week 3. Now, some of these teams look more convincing than others, but we'll find out. Sean, who do you think are contenders or pretenders in your eyes?
So they're 5 solid teams, but I'm going to be honest, the Giants, they're pretenders in my eyes. I mean, I just don't see it. They had 2 good games. I'll give them that under I can't think of his name, the new head coach there. So, they have potential. But I don't know. I don't know if I really see them going all the way. The Eagles I could see. Hurts has had a couple good weeks. And I really think they could make a step somewhere. The Bills, obviously, I mean, one of the best teams in football right now. Josh Allen is absolutely one of the best quarterbacks right now. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they're contenders. The Chiefs, again, Patrick Mahomes, absolutely contenders. Mm-hmm. They got weapons over there, even after the loss of Tyreek Hill. And then the Dolphins, I mean, I don't know. Tough one. But I have to say contenders. They got weapons now. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Tua has shown he knows what he's doing. So, Buffalo might get that that division win, but a solid wild card spot and a run for the playoffs and the run for the ring. Miami's definitely a contender. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
All right. Let's start with my contenders. I believe the Bills and the Chiefs are the obvious ones of the bunch that are contenders. I believe the Eagles showed us against Minnesota that they're no pushover. I believe they could run away with this division if the Cowboys aren't careful. I believe the Dolphins, as much as I despise them, and I'm so close to making them pretenders. I'm this close. But since they beat the Ravens to come back and beat us, I have to conclude that they are contenders. So that leaves me with the Eagles and the Giants. Both NFC East teams, both of them look strong, but at the same time, I'm looking at the competition. Detroit, really, for the Eagles? And then when I look at the Giants, they face Carolina and they face the Titans. Both teams are 0-2. Now, I don't know what that says, but based upon what I've seen by the Titans, they don't look like a good football team right now. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because they don't have a competent passing game right now. Maybe it's because they have Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. But the Titans don't look very good, and they managed to beat them. So I don't know what that says about their strength of schedule in comparison to the Bills with the LA Rams and the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs with the Chargers and I believe the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
But based off previous seasons, I have no doubt that those are contenders. So I'm a little questionable about those two teams. I'm vehemently questioning the Giants because oh my God, I don't trust them at all. But overall, I don't. There's two actual contenders, maybe a couple of contenders, and one very much a pretender at this moment in time. They would have to do this against a good playoff team.
Here's the thing, you talk about the Eagles and how they play the Lions, but I think the Lions are a pretty solid team this year. I mean, like, I don't like. I think like the game they played against the Commanders, like I thought that was a pretty good game. Like I think the Lions are somewhat legit this year. So I think the Eagles like might have a legit argument to be contenders. The Giants, though, no, big. They're in their own pile over there as pretend. Like I don't trust the Giants. I don't think the Giants have it. They just it's like if you told me the Jets were 2-0. Like I just.
They're 1-1 though.
It may be all good and glory now, but will it realistically be good and glory 15 more weeks from now?
Probably not.
No.
Danny Jones is still their quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Danny Dimes. And Kenny Galladay is still on that roster. He hasn't done anything beneficial for them. Saquon Barkley is starting to look like Saquon Barkley of old, which is good. But unfortunately, it's just him and that stat. And I don't think you can win with just Saquon Barkley all the time. I think they've been able to escape with the competition they're going against, but I don't think that's going to win them many games when they start to have harder competition, which I
think Brian Dable's done a great job coming in there. But like,
yeah, that impresses me. I didn't think they were
better. He's made them a better team than they were. But like you said, when the better competition comes around, what is that record actually going to come out to?
Yeah. But hey, I took my cap off to them. They're 2-0, just like the Eagles, top of their division. Will it last long when they have to face each other? Probably not. I think the Eagles are going to beat them handedly, but you never know. Any other? Do you want to go any further with any other team, or do you want to move on to the other side of the coin?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have much to add. I mean, like you look at these teams and you have to just say, I mean, there's obvious ones. There's teams that we know are good, that were up and coming, that have already been to Super Bowls. Then you look at teams that you knew were predicted to be solid teams like Miami and the Eagles. Some people thought they might have a good year, and then you have the teams that you sit there and you ask yourself, how are they here now and where are they going to be Is this realistically what they're going to look like 15 weeks from now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've covered all three aspects of that.
Fair enough. Coming up to the flip side, 0-2 teams. Is it now time to worry? Coming up on the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It's caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins! Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
And we are back. Welcome to the Fumblerooski podcast. I am your wonderful host, Justin Tucker, along with the Dolphins superfan, Sean Howe. From 2-0 teams to 0-2 teams. Sean, can you hear me now, though?
I'm going to be honest. I can't hear you right now.
Hello?
Well, I guess it's me while over here. I guess we're experiencing slight technical difficulties at the moment.
Hello.
I can't hear you. I don't know. I think it might be your end because you're hearing me just fine. Here, I'll try.
All right. Hello?
There it goes.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Hopefully Adam can edit the rest of this. But now, since that you can hear me, welcome to the Fumblerooski podcast. I am your host, Justin Tucker, along with my good friend, Sean Howe. From 2-0 teams to 0-2 teams. Let's talk about it. We have the Titans. We have the Bengals. We have the Raiders. We have the Panthers. But I want to add one more team in there. I want to add the Colts. Because, to be honest, you're tied with the Texans. You deserve to be 0-2. So, out of all of these teams, which one needs to be worried?
I mean, I think they all need to be worried. I mean, if you're starting off 0-2, that's not putting your best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even like you said, Tennessee to tie to the Texans, like there's a lot you have to go back when you walk in the office Monday morning. You have to go, what are we doing wrong, and what do we need to fix? Because 0-2 will quickly turn into 0-3 and 0-4, and before you know it, you're out of the playoff run before you've even reached week 9. So, there comes a point where you got to ask yourself, what are we doing wrong? What mistakes are we making? Why are we losing? I think for the Bengals, it's the same issues they had last year, however, somehow worse. I mean, their offensive line looks terrible. When you look at some of these other teams, I think Tennessee is just relying too much on Derrick Henry, and teams are starting to pick up on that, and that's just not going to work anymore like it did the first time. The first time he popped up, nobody knew who he was. I mean, people knew Derrick Henry, but they didn't know he was going to do what he did. And teams learned to adapt to that, and Tennessee really never had an answer. As for the Raiders, a little shocking they're on this list, not going to lie, seeing how they were last year. I think they might be able to dig themselves out of the hole. Maybe they just had a rough couple weeks. The Panthers, I think that's where they belong. I mean, like, is it time to worry? Yes. However, do the Panthers realistically have a chance? I don't think so. I think this just isn't the year for them. I don't see them really going anywhere. So am I shocked to see them on this list? No, not really.
Yeah. As far as I look at the list, there's no teams like I'm really worried about. The reason I'm not worried about the Colts and the Titans is because it's the AFC South, and it's basically going to come down to those two teams. I don't care how good Jacksonville looks right now. unless it's like halfway through the season and they still continue to look like this. I still don't trust them. The Raiders and the Bengals are the ones I'm worried about specifically. The Panthers, we didn't think they were going to do anything anyhow, so I don't think we need to be worried about them. But the Raiders and the Bengals are the ones you need to be concerned about. They just came off a Super Bowl run, the Cincinnati Bengals just did. And they tried to revamp their offense by getting Lyle Collins, I want to say Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and a few others. And we're all thinking, okay, Joe Burrow actually might have time to, throw the ball. Unfortunately, it looks worse than it did last year. And I don't quite understand why. Lyle Collins just went up against his own teammates and got bullied by Micah Parsons for most of the game. I don't know why. I don't know how he's just getting abused by this. I mean, on one play, 3 people were blocking one guy, and Joe Burrow got smoked. This is just unacceptable on them. And as far as the Raiders, they need to be concerned because the Chargers and the Chiefs are no pushovers. The Broncos, the jury's still out on them. I think they can be something, but I'm not seeing it right now. But at this time, I'm looking at the Raiders and I'm like, you should have beat the Cardinals because it was 23-7, and then you let them come back and beat you in overtime because of a forced fumble that they then returned for a touchdown. That's unacceptable. And if I'm the Raiders, it's time for me to figure out what we're doing wrong to cost us these games. What are we doing wrong so we can fix it and hopefully make a push for the playoffs? Because I'm not going to lie, if I'm looking at the AFC, the AFC North and the AFC East are no pushovers. They might have 2 or 3 teams themselves making into the playoffs.
I mean, the only defense I have to Cincinnati is, there's one game they should have won. They should have beat Pittsburgh.
They should have beat Dallas.
But the thing is the Pittsburgh game, they only lost because of a situation they were put in.
They put themselves in that situation.
As a long snapper himself, I look at it this way. Their offense came out and did what they had to do. The defense came out and did what they had to do. Their special teams, their field goal unit is where they lacked. It takes a snapper, a holder, and a kicker to put a football through the uprights. Yeah. They were missing one piece of that, and it hurt them. Not once, not twice, but 3 times that game. They had a chance of winning it, and missing that one key player was all it took, and they couldn't get it through the uprights. So I mean, that's a game where that's just an unfortunate situation. So, is it concerned that the O-line still looks awful? Yes. Is it concerned that you're 0-2? Yes. Any team right now. If you start out with 1 loss, okay, no big deal. Mm-hmm. But if you're walking in after week 2 with 2 losses, you're 2 games in the hole right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of these organizations right now need to have some kind of sense of urgency. Like, hey, we got to get this ball rolling because now you're already behind, and you only fall farther behind. 0-2 to 0-3. I mean, look at it happened to the Dolphins a couple of years ago. They started 0-4, and then they went on this massive win streak. But at the end, it didn't matter. They still came up short of the playoffs. These first few losses
matter
and decide where you end up, and you can go on and win the next 8 weeks or the last 8 weeks. But if you lost your first 5-6 games, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So definitely a sense of urgency in all these organizations right now on what they need to do to find themselves on the other side at the end when the clock hits 0.
And I'm going to leave it off with this. If I'm the Colts, I should be embarrassed with myself.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Because the way I look at it, they blame the majority of last season, on the incompetency of Carson Wentz. I disagree with that statement. I think Carson Wentz played well under the circumstances because he never had a true number 1 receiver. They still don't because Michael Pittman is injury prone. I don't understand why they just threw him under the bus like that. He threw 27 touchdown passes, only 7 interceptions. Did he have a fumble problem? Yes, he did. But it wasn't the reason why they were so bad.
He's not a bad quarterback.
He's not, but everybody expects him to be this MVP like quarterback like he was in 2017 when he's not what he once was.
The thing is just like he went to a Super Bowl. Like he has to be semi-talented, but everyone always says like Carson Wentz, oh, he's not good. He's this, he's that. And it's like Carson Wentz is a pretty like a quarterback being good has everything to do with the weapons around him, the O-line in front of him, the running back behind him. Like, so people say, oh, Carson Wentz isn't that good anymore. Well, Carson Wentz also doesn't exactly have the best offense around him. He doesn't have weapons. He doesn't have a unit behind him. He doesn't really have a good unit up front in front of him. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you can only put so much on the quarterback. It's not like defense where all 11 players are equally sharing, the responsibility of what they're doing. There comes a point where it's like, yeah, the quarterback is the majority of it, but if wide receivers can't get open, he can't throw the ball, or he has to try and put it in tighter windows. If the O-line can't make a hole, you can't run the ball. Now you're trying to throw on second, third, and long. There's situations that aren't his fault that are out of his control, but put him in situations that make him look bad.
Yeah. And when I look back on it, that Jacksonville game was like the beginning of the end of the Carson Wentz time. And I'm like, it wasn't all his fault. And they blamed it all on him. The owner came out and basically just shoveled on him when he left. And I was like, all right. Now that he's with the Commanders, I'm not going to lie, that O-line isn't good either, but they're still 1-1. They're in a better position than the Colts are at this moment in time, which is unfortunate when you look at the talent that they have on the defense and at the running back spot and on that O-line at positions. Like, they're not a bad team. They should not be 0-1-1. They should not be tying with the Houston Texans. They should not be in the same position as the Houston Texans. In all honesty, they probably should be 2-0 because they had the Texans and they had the Jaguars. And you can't even score a point against the Jacksonville Jaguars, what the hell are you doing on offense? I'm looking at Matt Ryan as well. You were brought in to replace Carson Wentz, who everybody thought he was a disaster last year, and you're not playing much damn better either. So if I'm the Colts, I might be a little bit worried about the situation. I don't care if it's the AFC South. Let's start winning some damn games.
Well, like, here's what I say, right? If I get rid of a quarterback because I said he was the issue, and I bring in a totally different one, and I'm back in the same place where I started, like I look at it like there's variables, right? You can change out this, you can change out that. It's like it's like if something's broken. All right, well, let me try this. Well, that didn't work. Like, you can't replace the same part and expect it to to work if there's other parts that are still broken. So you've replaced your quarterback with another quarterback who's arguably better, and you're finding yourself in a similar situation. It's almost like what I was saying about like your quarterback's not your entire offense. So maybe there's another issue. Maybe it's your coaching staff. Maybe the playbook doesn't work for the talent you have. Like maybe because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you try to run a certain style offense that doesn't work with the talent you have, it doesn't work. There's other variables that it could be. I mean, to get rid of one quarterback, bring in another, and be stuck in the same place, I think your issues are elsewhere.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of issues that need to be addressed. Now, granted, I will cut them some slack that Shaquille Leonard hasn't been playing, but at the same time, I need them to step up. I believe they should have won these games despite Shaquille Leonard not being there. But that's just me.
No, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this thing up, Sean?
No, that's all I got.
All righty. That'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. New episodes out every Tuesday and Friday around 7:30. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all of our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.